Hi, good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Madison. I'm George Hidalgo, Club President, and thank you for joining us today. Now, my opening message today focuses on membership. Now, thanks to the 413 members who have renewed their membership, and we will need to hear from 18 who have not responded. This is a time of such uncertainty in our lives and our community. But one thing for certain is that our Rotary Club of Madison continues its 107-year tradition of providing a great deal of value to our community. So you think 107 years, think about how many organizations have survived that long and actually thrived. Now, I mentioned the word value. So what does value mean? So we will provide this year $740,000 of support in grants and scholarships to help those in need in our community for the 2020-2021 Rotary year. So $747,000, that's $750,000. That is not small potatoes, and that's a sizable chunk that we're donating or contributing to our community. We also have 111 Rotarians serving as mentors to our Rotary scholars who are attending college thanks to our Madison Rotary Foundation. Now, that's truly outstanding, without a doubt. Now, thank you for being part of a great organization called Rotary, where we connect, grow, and serve. And together we are, and we will continue to make a significant difference in our community. Thank you for placing service above self. So our opening music today, let's direct our attention to Joe Luanis, who will play our patriotic song today, America the Beautiful. Thank you very much, Joe, for the music. And on to committee reports, awards, and announcements. So the first thing is District Workshop, which is on the screen there. It's a Rotary District online workshop set for October 14th at 6 p.m. Now, this workshop will help grow your network and expand your mind with actionable learning that you can use not only for Rotary, but also for your business or your nonprofit organization. Now, you can go to the Rotary District website to register or contact the Rotary office to get the link to sign up. Oh, sorry for breaking that glass there, Jason. Let's go on to the next announcement, guests at meetings. So we continue to live stream our meetings here at Pearson Engineering, which is located close to West Town Mall, and thanks to Brian Baskin and Jason Barron. Now, we have enough space to invite 2 interested Rotarians to connect with fellow Rotarians by joining us for lunch in our live stream meeting here each week. This will keep our overall attendance below 10. And so there is plenty of room for social distancing during lunch and the program, and we wear face masks, except obviously when you're up at the podium. As you know, I speak fast, and it'll be hard to hear me if I'm muffled. So if you are interested in signing up for one of our upcoming meetings, email or call the Rotary office, and they'll arrange for you to attend one of our upcoming live stream meetings. Oops, sorry again there, Jason. So our next announcement, a pop-up event. Another Rotary pop-up event is scheduled for later today at Wisconsin Brewery Company. So Haley Salsa Miller and Charles McLymans invite you to join them starting at 4:30 p.m. Bring your chair and enjoy some time with your Rotary friends, and who will be seated at least 6 feet apart. This event was one posted in our private Facebook group, and we have 66 members who are now members of that group. Be sure to find our group and sign up so you can see future pop-up events as they occur. Next announcement, special events. Our Special Events Fellowship Group has arranged for a trip to American Players Theater on October 17 and 18 to tour the grounds and listen to APT actors share stories about plays, actors, the woods, and the hills. Watch Friday's newsletters for a sign-up form, and there is also information posted on our private Facebook page. Now, on to our member interview series. Now, we continue our monthly series where a newer member of our club interviews a longer-term member. This helps us not only connect to a newer member, but to also hear a little bit more about one of our longer-term members. This month, Vicki Strobel interviewed longtime Rotarian Rob Stroud. First, a little bit about Vicki. She was previously a Rotarian in Marshfield for 10 years before moving to Madison, and she joined our Rotary Club a year ago. Vicki holds a Bachelor's in Business Administration degree in Finance and Marketing from UW-Milwaukee and an MBA degree from Marquette University. She is Executive Director of Practice Management for Lucid, Wisconsin, where she handles strategic and operational leadership for the company, working directly with practice providers, clinical leadership, and hospitals. Here's Vicki's summary of her interview with Rob Stroud. Vicki?
Hello, fellow Rotarians. I'm Vicki Strobel, and I'm pleased to introduce to you today Rob Stroud. Rob has been and continues to be a very active member of our club since joining in 1980, when he followed in the membership footsteps of both his father and grandfather. Rob is also one of our club's past presidents, and he served as the Rotary District Governor in 2012. In addition, Rob remains a long-standing member of the Kitchen Committee, which he joined in 1983. For some background on Rob, he is a distinguished estate planning attorney with Stroud, Willing, and Howard, and his favorite addiction is bike riding, which he can bike almost 250 miles in a week. He loves to bake, breads and pies, and spending time with his 5 grandchildren. Rob's why for Rotary is the Youth Exchange Program. Rob is very passionate about this program, as demonstrated by his 30 years as the team leader of the Group Study Exchange for Rotary International. In fact, his most memorable experience of being part of a club occurred back in the 1980s when he helped fulfill a wish by a request from a high school student boy who asked Rob and advised that he wanted to become an exchange student. What made this request so unique was that this young student was blind as well as he was in foster care. So Rob knew he had to fulfill this request, and he knew it was going to be difficult. But after much work and through extensive research, global networking, and fundraising, the club ultimately was able to not only find a host student abroad for the student in Brazil, but they also fundraised all of the dollars needed to cover this cost of stay. Rob's words of wisdom for all of us is growing membership starts with asking and inviting others to join. Remember, you were asked to attend Rotary or join the club, and just keep in mind that others want to be asked or invited as well. Also, get involved, not only within our club, but outside our club. Think about attending a district training opportunity or getting involved in any of the Rotary corporate opportunities or even international. He really encourages utilizing the Rotary Connect app. He finds it tremendously helpful and has met a lot of people through that. And last, the more you put into Rotary, the more you will get out of it. So I encourage all of us to follow Rob's example and really become active members. So last, I just want to again encourage all of you to reach out to Rob to say hello and thank him for his dedication, not only to our club, but for making a difference in the life of others, not only in our community, but both nationally and internationally. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Vicki, for that outstanding interview on Rob Stroud, one of our longer-term Rotarians who's really played a phenomenal role in our entire district for leadership, not only for our club, but also in the district. So our next item is an REI report, so Racial Equity and Inclusion. So Teresa Holmes and Mary Thompson will co-chair our Racial Equity and Inclusion Committee, and they will present an update report. Teresa.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. I'm Teresa Holmes, and I am here with my co-chair, Mary Thompson. We are here to give you the bi-monthly REI at the Podium update. Just a brief history of REI. originally created in 2013 under the leadership of past President Renee Moe, following the release of Madison's Race to Equity report involving disparities in races of Madison. We have a strategic plan that is basically reflecting the information at the club membership level involving two things. Our club's diversity and core values include fellowship, integrity, racial equity, diversity, service, and leadership. REI's core value is diversity and inclusion. So we're well aligned with our club strategic plan and its core values. The other thing I wanted to highlight is that REI's overall mission is really reflecting how we are going to evaluate our club's membership, the work, and the community impact with a racial equity and inclusive lens. We have a strategic plan. Did you know that our club has a strategic plan? Well, we do. Committees also have a strategic plan that include 3-year goals and objectives. And so for REI, our strategic plan does 3 things. It first aligns and identifies with key stakeholders, such as the Rotary Board and committee chairs, such as membership development, to assist and increase education and engagement with that lens. And then we've provided a 3-year strategic plan that's really embedded from results that come from the annual survey and focus group recommendations, of which Mary will speak to in a few minutes. And then lastly, our committee has created what we call a plan to initiate change. We call it our Traction to Action plan. It's our legs and feet on the ground. Mary is going to speak about the details of the Traction to Action plan.
Thank you, Teresa. Again, to reiterate that your voices do matter in the annual membership survey and the focus groups that Ron Luskin conducted last year, because from that we've derived this action plan. And the first thing is to really create awareness at the membership at large and to do the REI at the podium awareness like we're doing today on a bi-monthly basis. The other thing that we are finding is that we need to measure our progress and the data and report that back to all of you. For example, we're finding that retention is really an issue. For example, last year in the numbers, we had 16% people of color join our club, and yet we had 9% resign. So we really don't get ahead. We're kind of stabilized. We do a great job on recruitment, but need to focus more on retention. The other thing to create more awareness is to have leadership develop a broader slate of potential leaders for chair roles in our fellowship and committee work so that we don't have the same people doing the same things again and again, but have new leaders in the pipeline. The board will also formally review prospect lists, recruitment and retention strategies on a semi-annual basis based on our dashboard. Teresa also indicated that the REI objectives will be embedded in other club work through our members so that there is awareness systemically throughout the membership. Again, to reinforce in number 6 that we will continue to survey membership on an annual basis and incorporate that feedback into the plan. We also want to have more knowledge and awareness to membership through a speaker series on REI topics, at least on a quarterly basis, which we're recommending to the program committee, and also more informal discussion groups on REI topics. And Teresa, we have one coming up. Would you like to share more about that?
I sure would, Mary. As George mentioned during last week's luncheon, REI will be hosting a series of evening events that include discussions and conversations that help us build bridges. Rotarians, you've already received an email with an invite for a conversation among Rotarians about building bridges across the racial divide. That event will occur on Thursday, October 8th. Please contact the Rotary office to register by October 6th. We'd love to have you. As well, the continuation of our virtual evening education and fellowship series is coming and intended to build bridges while we connect, grow, and serve. Mary and I both thank you for an opportunity to share about racial equity and inclusion from the podium. Have a great day, Rotarians.
Well, thank you, Teresa and Mary. And we'll have Maggie Porter-Kratz, who serves on the Community Projects Committee, and she will provide us with an announcement.
Happy Socktober! What's Socktober? Glad you asked. In the month of October, the Community Project Committee is organizing a sock collection for Porchlight. Porchlight is an organization in town that envisions a world without homelessness. In fact, they have 350 housing units in 26 locations across the greater Madison area. As the weather gets colder, socks are a crucial need for these men, mostly men and some women that live in Porchlight. Socks can be dropped off at 2 Porchlight locations, one downtown and one on the east side, or at the food pantry at Grace Episcopal Church. Locations, times, and specific instructions can be found in the weekly newsletter. Remember that even a small act of kindness, like donating a pair of socks, can make a big difference in the lives of our neighbors this winter. Thank you, and happy Socktober!
Thank you, Maggie. So I hope that everybody thinks about getting some socks that we can donate for a worthy cause. So that's an outstanding community project. Our next agenda item announcement is on helping Rotarians. So club leaders continue to discuss ways we can connect with members during the pandemic. Now, one area we realize that needs some attention is helping some of our members get set up to watch our online meetings. So some people are not very good with technology, and for example, I would use my wife. She is not very good with technology at all. In fact, one of the things that I did is I bought the same tablet and I also bought the same phone. So we have a duplicate, not because I thought it was the right thing to do in terms of get the latest or anything along those lines. But if she ever has a question on technology, I'm familiar with it and I can give her a quick answer. So normally I come home and she's gone to places on settings and profiles and so forth that sometimes I can't figure out how she does it. And obviously we've been married, got married in 1981. So I love her immensely, and some people are just not good in technology. I love her anyway, though. So just understand that some people just are, I would say, technology challenged, okay? And there's nothing wrong. I mean, I'm vertically challenged. We all have issues, right? But we love each other, right? So it might as well, to be able to help someone, it could be as easy as showing a member how to click on the yellow box in our Wednesday email, or it might be showing them how to find our Wednesday email message in case it is going to their spam folder. So even at work, I find out that someone said I sent you something, and sure enough, I checked the spam folder, and that's where it is. So we are looking for a few Rotary members who will be willing to contact 2 or 3 of our members and help them get set up. It can start with a phone call to try and resolve the issue, or it might mean making a visit to someone's home with face mask and gloves to help them get set up. So let the Rotary office know if you'll be willing to help out. Again, Rotarian helping Rotarian, and really trying to stay connected during this pandemic. And again, some people may be technology challenged. My wife is one of them, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? So love them, and we need to do everything possible to help them out. With that, Jason? So I know that we're causing probably a lot of damage on glass. So if anyone knows someone at Lake City Glass, please have them contact us, because I think Pearson Engineering is going to have to replace a lot of glass in their conference room. So I wanted to give a shout out to Paul Renault. Last week, Paul went out to video record Dane County Executive Joe Parisi and Charles Tubbs since they weren't available to be at our live stream meeting. Thanks to Paul for volunteering his time to help out with last week's program recording. On to birthdays. We have birthdays to celebrate with a bit of humor and wisdom that complements Rotary's mission. We also encourage members to make an age-appropriate gift to the Madison Rotary Foundation, rounded up to $100 for our club's Synergy Scholarship Fund. So I've gone through this repeatedly, so hopefully everybody understands the difference between the two. And it's our the birthday and our Rotary, our Synergy Scholarship Fund are two of the ways that we have priorities of giving. So let's start with September 27, Darren Harris, who shares this quote from Pablo Picasso. "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." Great quote. September 27th, Brian Cook. September 28th, Wendy Melendez. September 29th, Kurt Brink. September 30th, Bill White. October 3rd, Ann Cardinelli. So thanks to our celebrants for their contributions to the Madison Rotary Foundation. Please join me in wishing them a happy birthday. Jeff Bartell will play Happy Birthday on the piano.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Jeff. On to members in the news. So Masood Akhtar was pictured and quoted in an article titled, "Why Do Blacks Pay the Highest Price?" And that's the Wisconsin State Journal 919. Darren Harris, who serves on the Anti-Racism Committee in Dudgeon Monroe neighborhood, was pictured in an article about the committee's efforts to produce a when-to-call 911 guide, and that's in the Capital Times 916. Jason Ilstrup was interviewed on CBS Evening News on September 12th, talking about local businesses in college towns and how they are dealing with COVID-19 restrictions on sports. So that takes care of the announcements. So on to our program. Our program today will provide information on the Madison Metropolitan School District's 2 questions that will appear on the November 3rd ballot. So we are pleased to have new Madison Metropolitan School District Superintendent Carlton Jenkins here today. By the way, he's also a Rotarian, so that's fantastic. So he earned his doctorate degree in philosophy and a master's degree in educational administration from University of Wisconsin-Madison. I also wanted to mention to Dr. Jenkins that one of our longtime members, Nelson Cummings, say that he remembers working with you at Beloit Memorial when you were just out of college, and he wanted to say hello. Also here today is President of the Madison School Board, Gloria Reyes. Gloria has committed her career to public service as a law enforcement officer and deputy mayor. She holds a bachelor's degree in behavioral science and law from UW-Madison. Gloria also earned her master's degree in public administration from American Military University. Now, we look forward to your presentation, and we have made a contribution to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund as a way to say thanks for speaking to us today. A reminder to members that if you have questions, which I'm sure there will be a lot, please use the chat feature on YouTube, and I'll select questions from the chat. Gloria?
Thank you, and hello, Rotarians. We are so happy to be here today to share information about our MMSD 2020 Future Ready Referenda that is on the ballot on November 3rd. The school board, the administration team, and our school principals and our entire staff have been working very hard during these difficult times with a continued focus on our strategic framework. We are certainly moving through unprecedented times with COVID-19 pandemic and virtual learning. COVID-19 has highlighted the many racial disparities that currently exist and the challenges of homelessness, food insecurity, employment, and education. But what I have witnessed is a community that came together in a very critical moment to support the education of our children through delivery of meals, housing, and economic support. We are a resilient community who supports our public schools, who believes that education and public schools is the foundation of a thriving city. This resiliency and commitment to support each other and those most vulnerable is what will get us through COVID-19 stronger than we were before. With that said, I am so honored to introduce our new superintendent, Dr. Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins comes to us from Robbinsdale School District in Minnesota. However, his education and career started here, right here in Madison. We are so happy to welcome him back home. Pam Lindberg, who is a member of the Robbinsdale School Board, said during one of their meetings, is that Dr. Jenkins has been a teacher, he's been an educator, and he's all about our kids. This is so very true. Dr. Jenkins has never forgotten where he has come from and is back here at home to lead our school community at a critical moment in time where his collaborative leadership style, with a focus on our students, will lead our school community into the future. Please help me welcome Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you so much, Chair Reyes, for that introduction. And also, I would like to say thank you for the acknowledgement there, Mr. Cummings, Nelson Cummings. He was there when I was a young pup coming out of Mississippi Valley State University as a teacher, starting out in Beloit, Wisconsin. And I tell you, you couldn't have a finer Rotarian. So to us as Rotarians, let me say the four-way test. Just before I start, I would like to say not the whole four-way test, but the last part. I had never seen that, and I've been in many Rotary meetings. It said, will it be fun to all concerned? And I'm saying, wow, I love that. Whoever came up with that idea, that was a great one, because the rest of it, you know, we know what we stand for when we say as Rotarians, the four-way test. And I think it's so beneficial today when we talk about, is it the truth? You know, we have to know. And is it going to be fair to all concerned? Will it build, you know, friendship and good and better will for all of us? And then just the whole fact, is it beneficial to all? I just think that's incredible and really needed for the times that we're in right now. So anyway, enough of that. Carlton Jenkins here is the new superintendent of Madison Metropolitan School District. This is where I started my administrative career at Madison Memorial High School in 1993. And I'm telling you, I came back to the community, walked over to Madison Memorial, goosebumps, came back again. And I looked at the building and I said, whoa, nothing has changed. The building looks identical. But I do remember my days developing as an administrator and the exciting teaching that was occurring inside of Madison Memorial High School and the positive connections that were going on in Madison Memorial High School and in the district of Madison. I remember many of the wonderful administrators and teachers throughout the district during my time. But coming here today and coming back to Madison, I'm really excited about the potential of what we have before us right now. In the midst of two pandemics, we have the COVID-19 that's going on, that's taking our country, taking the world by storm. You're literally talking about from an economic standpoint, employment standpoint, health standpoint, our community. We're really hurting. So in turns, our educational system, we're here. We're hurting. And if we hurt in the education system, our families hurt. And this is the time to dig in, like we talk about in our strategic framework goal, number one, to make sure that we're not only just graduating our children, that they are prepared for college and careers and the community. How visionary to talk about the community, because it's so important right now. And so I also say at this particular time, we want to continue to focus in our schools to ensure that we have all of the best for our children. And in doing this, we go to our core values. In our core values, it starts off with excellence. That's the first thing in excellence. And then we want to, in these particular times, to make sure everyone feels as if though they belong. During these times of this particular pandemic, we're talking about equity, right, and social justice. We see what's happening around the world. To have one pandemic is something, but to have two is something else. And during this pandemic time, we want to make sure we lift up the voices of our students, of our staff, of our parents, and of the community. And we're asking everybody to focus. If we focus and we lean in together, we would not only get through this pandemic, but we're going to come out on the other side better. because we do know before the pandemic, there were some historical wrongs that did not happen in terms of the achievement levels for our Black, brown, special needs, our children of poverty, children coming to our country as well. They were not performing as well as their peers. And we want to make sure that all children are excelling like Madisonians really and truly believe in before 1993 and in the future. And what we've done over the last couple of years, we've been progressing in terms of the number of schools not only meeting the state's expectation, but statistically significantly improving. But we know right now it's the time during these pandemics to move forward and say, hey, we don't want just a few schools. We don't want just the east side or the west side or the south side, right? We want all of our Madisonians, children and families to feel as if though no matter where they send their children is going to have a high quality education. So as such, the district's been working the past couple of years on building the right type of referendum. So we went out into the community, had over 50 community conversations. During these sessions, we talked to you, talked to our children, talked to the parents, talked to the community, been trying to involve the business community. After those conversations, we did a survey. We received back over 4,000 responses. And those responses, they confirmed some of the things that we knew and told us some things we didn't. During a pandemic, you have to make sure that you change the way that you do business. This means that we have to listen, and then respond to our people. So in listening and responding to our people, we had to wrestle with the question, is this the right time to actually do a referendum? So we surveyed our community. And as we surveyed the community said to us during COVID-19, yes, this is the time. 60% of our responders responded to us that this is the time to move forward. Now, we really are excited about the 60%, but we also honor the fact that 40% said it's a challenging time. But this is when we lift up not only what we can do for others, but helping others do for themselves. And it's our civic responsibility to pull those forward who need that at this particular time. So as a result, the board wrestled with that, and it came up with a number in which we consider to be fair, because honestly, some of the feedback said, why put a Band-Aid on it? You need to go for more. But we're trying to be fiscally responsible and be strategic as we approach asking our taxpayers for money. As you know, we've been fiscally responsible over the last few years, trimming $15 million out of our budget. Then COVID-19 hit, and it set our budget projections off. We can anticipate right now from the state level, the federal level, we're losing dollars, but we're going to continue to be fiscally responsible. We're trying to be fiscally responsible and also give our children, our staff, and our community what they need and what they're asking for at the same time. So as such, we have two questions that's going to be on the ballot. And we hope when you go at the end of this presentation, you'll be informed about these two questions. The first is an operational, okay? We have an operational referendum that's up there, and we're talking about actually doing the 4-day 4K program. This is going to support our students and moving us forward, supporting the momentum that we've already begun to build up. We're looking at how we're going to increase our dual language programs in our district, to expand on them. And the ones that we have, how do we make them better? And we all know that language acquisition itself can help everyone better themselves in terms of being a global citizen. We're also looking at what we're trying to do in our arts, our music. And there are several other things like that that we want to do with our technology and making sure that we're not only competitive here locally, but in our region, throughout the state, throughout the nation. We want to compete on a global level. We want to take on Shanghai. We want to take on Finland. It's no reason that Madisonians should not be at the top of the game when it's talking about competing. We also want to attract the best talent here. The best talent, teachers, administrators, all of our people in the research department here to Madison. And we want to increase the diversity of our workforce. We don't want to recruit people here and cannot retain them. So you have to be competitive. And in all of this, we want to look at what's going to be our equity focus. So we're very strategic in how we've looked at this from a facility side and an academic side. From the academic side, we've already begun to build partnerships with Madison College in terms of our STEAM program, trying to get students to go in there, but being very intentional about increasing the number of young ladies and our students of color who are participating. Right now, over 50% of the students are students of color, and we have the increased number of our young ladies participating in the STEAM program. Now, when we talk about this particular question, the $33 million, we spread it out over four years. But it's really, you're talking about $27 per $100,000 for a household. If your home value is at $100,000, we're talking about $27. But now we spread that out over 4 years. In the first year, we went lighter with the $6 million, and then you can see it there, the $8 million in the second year, $9 million in the third year, and $10 million in the fourth year. So that would take care of the first question. But then there's a second question. And people have been asking, they said, hey, why not one? Why not the other? Well, these two really complement one another. We have some buildings that's 100 years old, some 50 years old, and in between. And we do know in terms of the technology in our building, just the facilities themselves, we're trying to create more collaborative teaching spaces and learning spaces. So as we continue to innovate with what we're trying to do instructionally, it can align with what we're doing with our facilities. This is really an ask. The first step in our ask, as you look around us right now, you see some of the districts are actually building new buildings, one building for $200 million. And that's not what we wanted to do to our taxpayers. What we wanted to do is to take a measured approach, have a long-term facilities plan to align with where we're moving our academics. So nevertheless, this is going to be a cost of about $50 per year for every $100,000 and per household. But when you add them together and you look at the total there, you're talking about questions 1 and 2, you're talking about $350 million and about $60 increase for every $100,000 of a household value. But then over the particular 4 years, we're talking about roughly, if you look at those numbers there, we're talking about accumulation of about $130 there, okay? So now I'm at a point where I would love to entertain some questions from you. Today I have our Chief Financial Officer, Kelly Rupa, here, and we also have our Chief over our operations, Mr. Chad Weezy. If there are some questions, I definitely can respond to them. If it's something very, very specific and we need them, I'll have them come in and they can respond to them as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And I guess the first question here is from Teresa Holmes. Will the full day 4K program hold resources that could go to one city learning?
No, in terms of at this point, we're looking just within the proper of MMSD, and we don't have that in the plan. But one of the things that we are going to be doing as we're looking at our early literacy, when we start talking about the 4K, and actually even earlier, we're going to be doing training around the science of reading. And we're going to look to collaborate not only just with one city, but with some of our other community partners. During these particular times, we have to see how can we have reciprocal accountability, meaning everyone within our proper, we have to try to work with. And so that's going to mean community partners, be it Central or one city or other programs like that. There will be some benefits for them. We're looking to build upon that relationship.
Thank you. Next question from Bob Dendorf, who asks, what is the status of STEM collaboration with Madison College?
Right now, that's the program that I was mentioning. We have just over 100 students in that particular program. With Madison College, we're looking to continue to expand that. Also during this, from our facility side, we're looking at the articulated skilled trades. We were just talking last night with the La Follette group how we're going to build out some of those pathways, because right now children are interested in college, but they're also interested in certifications, and some are interested in a combination of that. I want to get a certification today to be an electrician, and I want to be an engineer tomorrow. Our job is to build on the momentum that we have now to give them the requisite skill set so that they have a choice in what they want to do it and how they want to do it.
Thank you. Next question is from Janet Priano. Will the operational referendum address the achievement gap between Black and white students?
I really appreciate that question. And when I said that we took a look at this whole referendum, and this was even prior to that, me coming here, but coming in as a new superintendent, that's a question that I had. How are we going to use this referendum to move us to accelerate and then to decrease and in fact eventually annihilate that achievement gap in the opportunities. So thank you for the question. And yes, what we're doing, we have some specific dollars that we have outlined to align with our goal 3 of the strategic framework. Specifically and intentionally, it says that we're going to increase for Black youth and children. That's what it said, that they will excel in Madison. So we're going to be looking specifically line item by line item, how we're pushing those particular strategies to leverage and reduce those particular gaps.
Thank you. Next question is, tell us about the successes at Badger Rock School, and do you anticipate similar success at the new elementary school?
Okay, first of all, yes, and I'm going to call Chad in on this particular piece, but we anticipate quite a bit of change, and there's a lot of excitement already about the fact that we are recognizing the south side of our town by putting over by Rimrock a new elementary school, where those children in that neighborhood will no longer have to ride the bus for 45 minutes. That within itself is going to bring some excitement to the neighborhood. But even before the school is built completely, we're going to involve the community in the design of the school. So within that, we know from what our past tell us, that's going to build a lot of excitement and intentionality to increase achievement at the school. So I'm going to have Chad to it on that question.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Can you repeat the question really quickly just to make sure I get it right?
So tell us about the successes at
Badger Rock School, and do you anticipate similar success at the new elementary school?
Yeah, absolutely. So Badger Rock Middle School is a charter school for us that's affiliated with the district. It has a kind of a foundation built in environmental learning, lots of hands-on learning. They've got gardens and chicken coops and greenhouses that they use to incorporate into their science curriculum. And recently we worked with the school board and also the current owners of Badger Rock, Rooted, a nonprofit down in southern Wisconsin, down in southern Madison. And we've come up with a plan where we're actually going to buy Badger Rock Middle School, which is really kind of finally sinking a footprint in terms of MMSD in South Madison, long time overdue. And we're actually going to build that new elementary school on the Badger Rock site. So we will have a K-8 school down in the Rimrock Road area, and that is an area that has been neglected by MMSD and quite frankly the city of Madison for quite some time, and we are excited about that. So many of the successes that are happening at Badger Rock in terms of their innovative curriculum, we fully see as a possibility of pairing with that new elementary school. That new elementary school will afford the opportunity for up to 450 students in that neighborhood to be able to walk to school. Those are students who for decades have had to get on long bus rides and ride to Frank Alice Elementary School or Nuestra Mundo Elementary School, and now we'll have a community school built into that neighborhood to support those families. We're really excited.
Good. Thank you. Yep. Next question is, what is Plan B if either the referenda fails to pass?
Well, actually, first of all, let me just say, you always have to have a plan B, right? Our plan B is to continue grinding. We're going to go after the goals, and we're going to continue to have the same vision we have now. It's going to take us a little bit more time. Earlier, I mentioned reciprocal accountability, and I believe that you should hold us accountable. But right now, in this new day and time, it's reciprocal accountability, because in holding someone accountable, you must also give them the resources to do the job. I think this is the time during the pandemic for us to come together, for you to lean in and ask questions and to work with us. It's our time, too, to say, look at what has happened over the years. And I can understand that question. Historically, Black, brown children, special needs children, poor children have not necessarily kept pace with their peers. And so now is the time for us to come together and say, hey, the community, hold us accountable. And we say to the community, give us the resources to do the job. We're going to move forward. No more of the days of yesterday prior to COVID-19. We will come out of this better and stronger. It's just this referendum helps us accelerate and give our children, give our staff, and our community the things that Madisonians have come to expect. If you look at past referendums, they've been supported. We know that this community really, truly does too care and value education. So that was the plan B. Continue to work hard. That's where we are.
Great. Next question is from Jenny Jeffries, who says, how are you helping students with college research and planning? Fall used to be college visits to high school campuses and lots of work with counselors, but now that is missing.
The in-person part of it, thank you. This is a great question as well. Almost like this interview here today. We have all had to shift in a moment's notice. Last spring, we all got knocked off guard with the things that we were doing traditionally. And whoever thought that we would be doing our Rotary meeting virtual, right? And I've been a Rotarian for quite a while. I never thought that we would do this, right? And but nevertheless, our attendance has gone down some with the Rotarians, but we have kept the interest of many individuals. But this also allows us to reach other individuals. In the schools, we have the individual groups that we're looking at. We're developing our groups with our counselors. That department, they're doing a fabulous job in terms of working with the students individually, reaching out to the colleges. And also remember this, the colleges are facing the same things as we are. How do they recruit? When I say reciprocal accountability, it's not just with us in the school system. How will the university come and get this great talent that we have here in Madison? So we're working with them feverishly to ensure that those relationships and the students who are not just going academically, who are going for co-curricular reasons, we're trying to keep those tight relationships.
Thank you. Next question from Charles McLymans. He says, Steve Youngbauer and your MMSD nutrition team have done an admirable job pivoting to feed students. What innovations and collaborations do you envision to provide food to students and their families?
Well, that is also a great question. Since last spring, that's what we've done. Our nutrition people, they have been just fabulous, and Chad is here today. One of the things also, just not the nutrition side of it, but also the technology. We have families. This COVID-19 has hit us all, right? Economically, with the whole employment piece. So we've taken food out to the homes. At first, we were just taking it and making sure that our children had food within our community, within our schools. Now, because of Chad working with the team, the nutrition team, we can take out the food anywhere in the community. We have 40 sites now. We've increased it from what we had previously, that we're taking it out, and any child within our community, any family can come and pick up those meals. We've increased the number of meals that we're actually giving out now. At a time, we're passing out 10 meals now, whereas opposed to earlier, we were passing out less. So thank you for that question. It's very important that our children are too being able to eat during these times appropriately.
So just to clarify on that, are you able to manage food distribution to students beyond lunch, or is it all?
Yes.
Okay.
But we are. We're able to do that. Now, I think I'll have Chad to come back and speak even a little bit more. This is in his area. And to everyone out there, I am still pinning the tail on the donkey, learning as much as I can, as fast as I can. So I'm no longer pivoting. I have skates on, literally.
The question was related to food distribution to students beyond lunch.
So we are currently doing breakfast and lunch in boxes of 10 meals at a time that we'll distribute on a weekly basis to our families. Just had a phone call on my way over here with Steve Youngbauer, who you just referenced. We served 47,000 meals last week to MMSD students. That is threefold what we were serving last spring. So it's our goal to continue to be as innovative and as welcoming and as flexible as possible to make sure families get what they need. Just last night, for the first time, we did a meal serving that we served 110 boxes of 10 meals, over 1,000 meals, just last night from 4 to 7 p.m. So now we've actually opened up food times that families who may be working during the day can come and get them in the evening. Starting next week, we're actually going to start taking buses literally on bus routes through neighborhoods that we know need this service the most. And we are running bus routes similar to what we would if we weren't during COVID time, but they're going to be full of food and food service workers handing out meals to these families. So we're doing everything we can to try to be innovative and flexible to make sure our families get what they need. But excited, we served nearly 50,000 meals last week.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next question is about strategy. As your predecessor and the school board spent considerable time and resource developing and implementing a plan, there's a lot of work that went into it. So will you follow that plan or chart a new direction?
No, I think any superintendent, before you come in, you want to do your research on the district. In fact, I did my research in the strategic framework, how it's laid out. I am definitely in alignment with that. Do I think that my years, 30 plus years of experience, I could bring a little bit to help refine? Definitely. And I think in the words of John F. Kennedy, leadership and learning They're indispensable. As a leader, it is our job to continue to learn. When we know better, we do better, Maya Angelou, right? So I'm coming in, working with the board, working with our staff, working with the community on the plan that's been laid out. But if there are opportunities to refine, I think I would definitely not be doing my job if I see something and could not recommend it. But in working with collaboration with the community, working with our staff and the board, I think we're in good shape. The plan that has been laid out, I think it's one that we can continue to work on. But I will say this, we have to continue to demand more for how all students are achieving. And I think this plan that was already here before I got here lays that out. Now it's just time to do the work.
Thank you. Next question is from Don Krim, who says, please talk about your plan to continue the Black excellence work underway in the district.
Yeah, first of all, Don, thank you for that question. And that was one of the things that I noticed, the Black excellence. And quite frankly, you can look across the country, individuals are talking about increasing the achievement for Black students, particularly in this strategic framework. It calls out Black children and youth will excel. But one of the things, as I spoke to the board and I spoke to the CFO about how are we funding it, Nicola Alexander out of University of Minnesota, she writes about your budget reflects your values. So when I saw the nearly $350,000 there, that was a question that I had. But as you can see, as a district in this referendum and without the referendum, we've already said we're going to increase our intentionality of trying to ensure that our Black students, as well as our Latinx students, are too moving forward. But thank you for the questions around the piece with Black excellence. We want to move beyond just words, okay, to action. And that's what we're going to be doing. So I've already met with the department about how we're going to be addressing things. And I think the things that they're presenting right now are going to be some things to help us increase in that area.
Great. Next question is related to busing. So the long-standing decision to bus young kids away from their home village dilutes the effect of the whole village on the children's development. This busing experiment is over 35 years old. When can we expect a report card on the educational effects of busing children as a school policy, as a city policy, excuse me?
Well, I think that's a question. First of all, you're right. It goes back long-standing, Brown versus the Board of Education. And then also you talk about the Green 6 conditions. Frankly, those have not been met. Show me a place in the country. We're still debating that in terms of how do we even live up to the whole part in terms of transportation for our students? How do we get the facilities? So that's something we're going to have to continue to work on as a system. But again, reciprocal accountability. You raise the question, and then you have to come in and work with us. How do we get there? The decision to even put an elementary over on Rimrock, when I was here in '93, we were talking about Allied. So we continue as a city to have some of these issues that are actually reciprocal issues. And so I think we're going to have to come in together to address this particular issue. We don't believe that one child or some children should have something more than the other. So thank you for that question. But keep it lifted. Bring your voice to the conversation.
Okay. The next question here. What data does the school district use to determine why students should not be meeting in person? How is it different than being used by other area schools that are meeting in person?
Well, I don't quite know why other schools are making that decision. Before coming here as superintendent up in Minnesota, I made a decision. In fact, we were the first district to close in the state of Minnesota. And we were using the metric, following the science in terms of what's going on in our community. And at that particular time on March 13th, CDC didn't even have as much information as they have now. We'll continue to learn, continue to turn to the health department. This is a health situation. And I can't emphasize that enough. So we have to pay attention to the science and the experts in that area. Right now, we have an advisory group, which we bring in individuals from the medical field in. We're looking at it and leaning on their advice as to how we should move forward. So before I got here, the district had decided to go virtual, but I had just determined in Minnesota that we needed to move because of where our numbers were increasing in our particular area. In fact, we had one of the first cases in that entire Twin City area that showed up with someone testing positive. So then it went from 1 in just a weekend to 54. And then the governor wound up shutting the whole state down. In our area right now, we're working with UW Health, Public Health. We're listening to what they're sharing with us. And as you know from the research, it clearly says that African American and Latinx students are 4 to 8 times more likely to actually contract the virus. So we're watching the guidance, we're working internally, and we will make a decision what's going to be good for our students, for our staff, and for our community. And unfortunately, we have been seeing an increase in individuals who have contracted the virus here recently. And so we're going to monitor it, and then we will communicate in a very measured way out to our community and what's best in terms of how we re-enter into the schools. And once we re-enter, it's not just the issue of re-entering to school. It's going to be whether or not we have all of the safety precautions in place. And this, again, reciprocal accountability. We may have to come back out and talk to our community about how we need to partner and making sure that we can do this in the best way that's going to be safe for everyone. We have over 200,000 people, right, that's died from this virus. I think it's a pretty serious thing to think about, and it's not just a school issue.
Great. The final question here is, this is a large request for funds. Do you anticipate additional large requests for funds in future years? Because I think your plan had the next 4 years, but obviously you're looking at 10 years down the road. So what does it look like to you in terms of future?
I think I probably said this is the first step in a long view. We tried to be measured in our response. Some have told us don't just pull the Band-Aid off, go for it all. But we just saw we had some real needs for buildings that's 100 years old, 50 years old. We knew that we had some momentum with our academic. We said, let's take the first step in it, and then we will take the other steps when it's appropriate to do so. We're in the midst of COVID-19, but we thought it's the best time for us to build momentum, and to also, this would be the cheapest you could probably get it in terms of the facility size with the bonds when we're talking about a 0.2% interest rate on the borrowing. And it's going to help us put jobs back into our community. This will help our community become healthy, bigger than just education itself, but just a community as a whole.
I want to thank you for your presentation. If we can give them a round of applause. I mean, that is fantastic.
Look, thanks a lot. And I want to say thanks to our team for being here ready to respond. And thank you to our Chair Reyes for being here, opening it up for us, okay? Thank you so much. We normally do the handshake, but we can't do that right now, right? We'll do like that.
Yeah, the new requirements. So I want to thank everyone who attended, and a lot of great questions. Obviously, November 3rd, it will be on the ballot. So go ahead and make the appropriate decision. If you have further questions, the people that you can contact as to making an appropriate vote on that. So with that, phenomenal meeting today, and we are adjourned.